assigned to you today as your psychologist. So I've heard that you have been maybe having a few struggles with mental health. Okay, well, I believe that you did have an assessment done a few months ago, so we don't need to go through that. I thought maybe a nice easy way to begin to dip our toes into psychology would be to have a look at the ink blot test. Have you heard of that before? Okay, let me just grab it. So, have you seen these kind of designs before? Yep, okay, well that is the ink blot test. Now this particular version is more like a game, a mini game, or even a party game, but it is based on the original Rorschach ink blot test. So, as you can see on the back, there's all different kind of ink designs that are deliberately ambiguous, and what I would be asking you to do, if you'd like to have a go, would just be to have a look at them and form some kind of interpretation of them. Okay, so for example, what does that look like to you? And there are no right or wrong answers, it's all up for interpretation. Okay, so there are 12 in total, but the way this particular version of the test works is for us to choose only 3 of them. Okay, the 3 that you are most drawn to. Okay, so I'm just going to read you the instructions so that we're both clear on what we would be doing. Okay, so we're going to take out the full set of ink blots and look through them without turning them over to the back. How do they make you feel? When you have a sense of them as a whole, choose the 3 ink blots that you are most drawn to. Examine them. What can you see in them? What are your first impressions? Whether you focus on the whole shape, the details, the colours, or the white space is completely up to you. What do you see when you look at them from different angles? All of that is relevant, and there is no limit to what you could see or to how many interpretations you could give. Okay, you can look at the pictures for as long as you like, and you can come back to them again and again and again, and you may see different things in the future. When you're ready, you will then choose your one favourite ink blot, turn it over and find out if what you saw was one of the interpretations on the back of the card and what that might mean. There's also a little book in here that kind of gives a character profile of your favourite card, so that might also be fun to have a look at. Okay, the significance of these descriptions may vary, and it could feed into the overall personality profile of the ink blot. Now, I will just say, please do take this test with a pinch of salt. It's not meant to pigeonhole you into any particular group, and it's not meant to make you feel bad. It's not meant to tell you things about yourself. It's really just meant for fun. It can help to highlight parts of your personality or your values or different kind of traits that you may or may not have, but it may be completely inaccurate and way off base, so it's for you to decide. But at the end of the day, it's quite an enjoyable way to kind of get a little bit of a sense of yourself, whether the interpretations on the back of the card are correct or incorrect. It can be fun to find out anyway and to weigh that up. So would you like to have a go at this? Brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take the cards out of the box. And okay, I will show you. There is a handbook, the 12 ink blots, and what your choices mean, what they could mean. Okay, so we'll go through that at the end. What we'll do first is just show you each of the ink blots, okay? So take a good look at them. This is number 1. Okay, now we'll have a look at number 2. This is just to give you a sense of them, okay? At this stage, you don't need to be making your interpretations. Just kind of decide whether you like the image, whether you were drawn to it. Yeah, okay, next. Number 3. As you can see, they're all quite different colours. Finished with that one. Good. Perfect. Okay, next one. Number 5. And bear in mind, we're only going to actually be examining 3 of these. Although, if you do enjoy this, find it fun and valuable and helpful in some way, then we can always come back to do the full test, where we can interpret all 12 of the cards. Okay. Number 6. Next one. Yep. So just remember, as we progress to the next stage, there's no right or wrong. There's only your interpretation, which is influenced by the experiences that you've had in your life, whether that be childhood experiences, adult experiences, relationships, anything at all. Your experiences shape the way that you see the world, and that in turn will shape the way that you see these ink blots. Okay, does that make sense? Yes, so exactly. The test is really just to get an idea of the way that you've formed your interpretations and what that may or may not kind of reveal about your personality. So it's quite interesting. I will say that the test has been criticised in the past, but nevertheless it does remain quite a popular favourite among my patients, just as more of an icebreaker or a fun way to delve into your unconscious. Okay, that's number 9. This one, of course, from the front of the box. Number 11. And finally, number 12. Okay, so if you'd like to kind of tell me which ones jumped out at you the most, which ones you're most drawn to, and that could be because you find them the most attractive, appealing, or the most interesting, or perhaps they just caught your eye for some other reason. Yep, number 12. Okay, so that was this one that we just looked at. Yep, okay. And can you remember any of the other ones? So that was number 1. No? Okay. Number 2. Yep, okay. Fantastic. Just place them down for a moment. Number 3. Nope. Okay. Number 4. Okay. Number 5. Okay. Number 6. Nope. Okay. Number 7. Yep. Okay. Good. I'll just show you the remaining few again in case you'd like to change your mind on any of them. Number 8. Okay. Number 9. Okay, good. Number 10. Okay. And 11. Okay, so would you say that you are quite happy with your choices? So we're going to do them the order that we chose them in, which was number 12, number 2, and number 7. Okay, so we'll do one at a time. Now, number 12. Yes, I quite like this one as well. So I'm gonna hold it for you to see and spend as long as you need. You can give me your first impression if you want to. Just saying the first thing that comes into your mind. And remember, you can give multiple answers. You can say as much or as little as you'd like. You can elaborate. You can provide detail. You can change your mind. Okay, I will just hide my face so that I don't distract you or influence you in any way. Okay. So, yep, I did hear some good kind of interpretations there. So I'll read to you what it says on the back. Okay, so if you looked at this picture and you saw pansies, a type of flower, that could mean that the wind is in your sails, a state of affairs that tends to emphasize your charming, energizing qualities. You believe in discussion. You want to learn things from others. You are attentive, modest, and thoughtful, and like people in general as a rule. This broad philanthropy may reflect itself either in a strain of non-conformism, the sense that individuals should be free to do whatever they want, or in something more political. Okay, if you saw pressed flowers, not necessarily the pansies, pressed flowers of various sorts, including orchids, irises, and others, then it could mean you are very aware of what it's like to have been the object of a lot of attention as a child. The jury is out as to whether that is a good thing. Sometimes you think you may have been. Sometimes you think you may have overly high expectations of yourself. You are not seriously worried about being your own worst enemy, but you can understand artist Edgar Degas when he said, "There is a kind of success that is indistinguishable from panic." Okay, I'm not sure if either of those interpretations if either of those kind of descriptions mean anything to you. It's good to think about anyway. There is two more. If you saw a moth or a butterfly with a sting in its tail, okay, then that may or may not indicate that you are affable, sociable, and independent. The doggedness with which you revolve in your own unique orbit. Naturally, you're drawn to the limelight in many ways, whether it's where your talents mean you belong, but you're dubious about the costs, and even more than that, you can't stand anyone telling you what to do. You are profoundly unbiddable. At the first hint of coercion, you disappear. And finally, if you saw eyes in the darkness, that could mean you have a great capacity for introspection. You go somewhere inside yourself, far out of anyone's reach, and think things over exhaustively. This is not always easy for other people. Okay, so did you find any kind of value in any of those little descriptions? Bits and pieces. Yep, bits and pieces. I would agree with that. Okay, let's have a look at your second choice. Which is quite different in colour. Okay, this is the second card. There are actually 5 descriptions on the back, okay, of things that you might see. Of course, you might see something completely different, and it's also possible that you might see nothing at all. So yes, take your time. Yep, fantastic. Okay, so yes, I did hear a couple there that I would also kind of agree with. For example, I see a mouth with tonsils right there, and it is on the back of the card. So I'll read you the descriptions. So if you can see a human mouth showing tongue, tonsils and throat, then this could mean that you are a force of nature, a strong person. Your strength of character, accomplishments and expansiveness cause rooms and lives to rearrange themselves around you when you walk in. Madonna's swagger. On the other hand, you might see something more resembling birth, blood, the female genitals, the female reproductive system. If you see that, then that could imply that the erotic has a very good place in your life, or at least there's every reason that it should have. You're very attractive, and people pick up that signal. All else being equal, pleasure and passion and the whole joyous exchange is at your beck and call. Beautiful nights, radiant mornings. Okay, if on the other hand you saw more of a flower opening, an orchard in bloom perhaps, that might more indicate nature may abhor a vacuum, but you seem to even more. Rather than being in the moment, concentrating on what you need with all of the vulnerability that entails, you find it easier to give others as many reasons as possible not to be able to live without you. The Chinese proverb, keep a green tree in your heart and perhaps a singing bird will come, tends to fall on deaf ears in your case. If you could see towards the top of the images, cat with whiskers or paws, okay, the little ears there. So if you can see a cat with whiskers or paws, possibly eating the butterfly. Sometimes your relationships can seem like a bicycle tire with a slow puncture. You can give a huge amount and it seems to be appreciated, although sometimes you think you overdo the advice. But still, it's not clear either of you is exactly getting what you need. Who doesn't have control issues? It's like saying you don't have regrets, but still, you wonder what sense of inadequacy may be causing yours. So maybe not such a positive interpretation there. If you see a pair of yellow fledglings, yellow birds pecking at each other, then you perhaps are very nurturing, lavishing such care on others that it sometimes seems you don't need any in return. You are not entirely sure you deserve to be loved at all. And before we move on, I will just assure you, if you did see that, you absolutely are deserving of love just as much as anyone else. People can be quite self-critical of themselves. Okay, shall we move on to the final card? So this is card 7, and I'll just give you some time to examine that. Yep, do you see anything else? That does kind of jump out at me as well. Okay, so I'll read the descriptions on the back. If you can see an x-ray of a chest showing red heart, lungs and blood, which that's what I can see. Things are welling up inside you that you want to express, but all things considered, you'd prefer to suffer in silence and not rock the boat. You find it hard to say no in general. It's always easier to say yes, as the German artist Thomas Schutt, if I've said that correctly, has pointed out, because you don't have to explain a yes. If you can see something with long ears, a bat, a rabbit, a jackal, headed god like Anubis, a moth or a butterfly, that could instead imply that you are very emotional, feel things very deeply, and have an acute sense of responsibility and concern for others. It is one of the reasons you are greatly loved. It is also one of the reasons you don't ask for what you need more often. The consequences can often be painful. You can mess up badly because you've said, "Oh, I'll be fine," and you kick yourself every time. Okay. If you perhaps could see a stingray or some kind of jellyfish, you tend to put yourself second and are familiar, though not necessarily comfortable, with the sensation of being elbowed aside by more powerful characters. A consequence is that you sometimes can be apologetic to a fault. Like a British Julius Caesar, there are periods of your life that you could sum up with the motto, "I came, I saw, I said I was sorry." And finally, if you can see an eccentric Professor Brainstorm type character with fringes of white hair, a top knot of some sort and a big nose, you are benevolent, self-effacing, a very good friend and a very good thinker. In light of what it would seem, at the very least, your civic duty occasionally to lend someone the bushel you hide your light under. So, I'm not sure if any of that kind of means anything to you. Yeah, sometimes an image just jumps out at you immediately. For example, I did see the chest straight away, but then now that I've read the description, I can kind of see the moth. So what you see first of all might have a special meaning to you, and then you can also see other things as well. Okay, so of course you may have seen entirely different things in the cards to what was described on the back. You may have seen entirely different things to what I could see, and that is completely normal. As you know, we're all individual with different life experiences, different favourite colours. It could simply be being drawn to certain colours. So what we could do next, if you would like to move on to the next stage, is choose the one card that speaks to you the most, okay? Would you like to choose from the full set, or would you like to choose from only the 3 that we narrowed it down to? Yep, we can have a look again at the full set, because you know it's okay to change your mind. So they may kind of gotten a bit messed up in their order now, but that shouldn't be a problem. So I'll just show you the full set once more, and if you just choose one, not that one, okay. Okay. Yep, just one that you think calls out to you the most. Okay. is that one a maybe? Okay, let's set that one aside. Again. Okay. That's right. Okay. So we'll set that one aside. That one. Okay. And number 9. Okay. And number 10. Alrighty. Ah yes, number 7, the one that we interpreted. Okay. Yep. And finally, number 12 again. A maybe. Okay. So you've now kind of narrowed down to number 12, number 6 and number 4. So let's kind of have a look at them together and choose the one that you would say is speaking to you the most at the moment. Yep. Okay. Yep. Number 4. Okie dokie. So, what we're gonna do is have a look in the handbook, and it gives a little description of what that card might indicate. Okay. Number 4. Commanding, resolute, aspiring, centered, feisty, tenacious souls who are constantly forging ahead, thrashing things out figuratively, if not actually, crying out onwards and upwards at every turn. They have something of the ship's commander about them, always on the bridge, come hell or high water, rallying their crew, sharing every thought and experience. They relish challenges and see conflict as a necessary dynamic part of life. Their sense of themselves, their work ethic, how hard they push themselves are all extremely admirable. Sometimes their storminess might appear slightly exhausting, however. People might balk at how demanding they are. Can't life include some light-hearted fun? One thing they can never be accused of lacking, however, is full-blooded commitment. Okay. So, yeah, like I said at the beginning, those descriptions and character profiles may or may not be accurate. There may be bits and pieces of them that are relevant and bits and pieces of them that you can completely dismiss. It tends to be quite a popular, enjoyable, little playful task for patients. Okay, think about that. See if any of that resonated with you. And of course, you can always come back to me again. We can look at the cards again. We can perhaps analyze the full set of 12. Excellent. Well, I hope you've had fun at the very least, or perhaps found it relaxing, maybe. Yep, okay. Well, yes, so I hope it was enlightening, and I do look forward to seeing you for your appointment next week. Shall we say same time, same day? Excellent. Okay, I'll see you soon.